Martin, over all your years of experience, okay, obviously you've coached thousands and thousands of people over the years. What's what's the basic fundamentals that you teach from word go so they haven't touched the club, really wanting to get into the game? Or, for that matter, do you teach the same thing you've taught someone who's brand new to the game to someone who's been playing, let's say, 4 or 5 years on and off, hasn't really got any coaching, but adapted a lot of bad habits over the years?
Same. Absolutely the same. Absolutely the same. The only difference between a beginner and a world champion is they do the basics better. There's too much confusion in golf. I definitely feel you strip it back. Simple doesn't mean it's missing anything, but attention to detail on the basic ABC of golf, which is grip, aim, and posture. That's it. Everything else evolves from that.
Yeah.
And I challenge anybody to tell me otherwise. There's no one way to swing the golf club, and there are exceptions to the rule. So if I'm teaching, I always want to see a good grip, aim, and posture. Everything flows from that every time. I haven't seen any. And then you do get people outside the box. I don't try to. So if we get people who are cricketers or people who do other sporting things, I've also got to evaluate when I teach, what have they got the time to practice this? So I'm not going to jump in and strip down the golf swing, but I try to, because sometimes it's a bit like a doctor. Instead of doing a heart operation, you have to do a bypass. So a lot of the time it's that. But I ask the student what they want before they begin, relative to their time that they have to practice it. Because at the end of the day, it's all about enjoyment. It's not what I want, it's what they want. So sometimes we presume or assume, which is not a good thing. So, a lot of people are getting too analytical. And to me, the concept of my teaching is if you can't bring it on the golf course, there's no point in me teaching it to you.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, and I think a lot of coaches want to, dissect, start everything from scratch. But that's an interesting fact, and I never thought about it like that. How much time does your clients have to practice? Are they interested in practicing X amount of hours? If not, then I think sort of build on what they have, if that's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Instead of dissect everything and starting from scratch. Because I think also I mean, there's been many times when I was starting out where, I was going through the raw data of all the swing analytics, and it really put me off the game because I felt like I was taking 10 steps back for every time I got one step forward. So I think that can be very off-putting to someone who's, interested in the game but not really looking to see it out.
Yeah, technology is great. We never had a time when you could have so much data, etc. But we need to filter that data, and that's where my experience comes in. I know to me, it's the 5% that counts, not the 95%. Simple doesn't mean it's missing anything. In fact, simple is the best form of sophistication, and that comes from not me, from Steve Jobs, and that is the way I base my teaching on. And people are sometimes going, "You amazed? You mean, well, you're hitting the ball better, aren't you?" Yeah. I did. What did you tell me? That one little thing. Yeah, but that one little thing took me 40 years to figure out, and you're getting it on a silver platter.
But I like when you say basics, the ABCs. I mean, you still go to any PGA Tour event or you watch it on TV and everything, and you still see the guys putting the alignment sticks down.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of, as you get better, you feel the need that, why do I need to, put all these training aids? I know how to aim, but it's very quickly you can start aiming 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 degrees right or left. So,
absolutely.
And that makes a huge difference.
Well, look at all the great sportsmen. Look at Ronaldo. He's still doing drills with cones.
Yeah.
This is the best player probably ever lived, apart from, debatable. And yet he's back to basics. Same thing, discipline. And that's what separates. But that's at the high level. But in basic level, grip, aim, and posture. The only contact with the golf club is your hands. Your hands control the face of the club, and the face controls the ball, and that's it.
Yeah, and just going back to that, consistency is key. I think,
it is key.
And that's for anything, not just golf.
Consistency and in golf, particularly discipline.
Yeah.
Like in most things, if you want to get anywhere, you have to be disciplined. And golf being such a hard game, people, you need. I always call it PDF. You need patience, discipline, and faith. I'm very strong in the third department because I've been doing this my whole life. Yeah. But you have to get the person to have the patience and the discipline to do what you want, The faith only comes in. That's the major issue, because if they don't hit one good shot, they're obviously doubting what I tell them. But I'm really strong in the third department, and I don't worry about if the person's not getting it. I keep it simple, and the last thing you want to do is make a fool out of someone. That's why it is an enjoyment. The person is paying you to enjoy themselves, so we don't assume that they want to be great champions and stuff. That's why it's very important to understand from the start what they want to do and not assume anything.
100%, 100%. Look, and obviously you see every manufacturer of any golf club or any golf brand bringing out all these new gadgets to improve your game and this and that. As a beginner or any player for that matter, how, like, what gadgets are worth getting and what is just a waste of time, essentially?
Well, I mean, if we go back to the concept of starting to play the game, if you just put a line on a golf ball, you start with the putting. There's two parameters. It's direction and speed. So if you just put a line on a golf ball, some of the golf balls come pre-stamped, that way. That's a good start. Something that's, a lot of gadgets are a little bit too complicated and controversial, because no one swing, there's no one way to swing the golf club. So certain gadgets may work for some people, but they won't work for everybody. There's no generic one, particularly like one which the concept of keeping your head still, to me, is one of the most confusing pieces of information of all time, because it gives the appearance of being completely static, and you can watch all the top players. No one keeps their head, what we call, stock still. So that creates problems with beginners, because they get all rigid and nothing flows anymore.
100%. Going back to that, so I'm a beginner, I'm starting out. I know I've mentioned buying beginner sets and everything, but obviously those also cost a little bit. Someone who wants to spare the absolute bare minimum. You've got 3 clubs. I know you're going to say putter is one of them. What would the other 2 be?
Wedge 7, that's it, done.
Okay.
You can get around a golf course with 3 clubs easily. I've demonstrated.
Yeah.
Because people, the worst thing you can do is buy a driver as a beginner. That's the absolute worst thing you can do. One, you won't be able to use. You get totally demoralized, and then you won't learn to play the game properly. You should introduce clubs one at a time. I mean, if I get someone out, and I get a lot of people, I need to break 100. You only need those 3 clubs.
Yeah.
Because the problem when they go out to the golf course, it's not that they can't hit the ball. They can't hit the ball consistently because they've got a driver which is too difficult to use, and they're hitting the ball. If you just hit a 7-iron 3 or 4 times, you get to the green, pitching wedge, putt, you're not taking big numbers. You're not taking 10s and 12s. So you're always scoring. And then as you develop, you introduce another club, rather than giving the whole scenario, and it's very confusing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's a tricky one as well, because, I mean, the driver is, everyone wants to hit the driver. Everyone wants to hit the long ball and everything. Yeah. I think it also takes that level of, going back to, you said, discipline, start right and get it right, instead of start fast and, struggle for the rest of the game. But it's a bit of an open-ended question, obviously depending on how much they practice and how quickly they're progressing with how much they're practicing. But when would you introduce the driver? When they start consistently hitting the 7-iron? Or?
When they get some competence with a 7-iron, then I move down to maybe a mid-iron, then a rescue, and then the driver.
Yeah.
In his play, because if I introduce the driver too early, they're certainly not going to be able to hit it that well. And then we're going to go back to the same question they always ask me: well, I hit my 7-iron the same distance as the driver. Yeah, because you're not competent enough yet to hit the driver. And then we go down that road. Oh, the driver must be wrong for me. Yeah. When they don't have an evaluation of the golf swing yet. So you've don't trying to please. My objective when I teach is not to please the client in the short term. It's to do what I know is correct, so they will get a consistent progress. It's like giving a child an ice cream to shut them up. It just doesn't. Yeah, in the short term, fine, but as you go, you're going to have to,
Exactly. No, I agree completely. Going on to a different side of the equipment, and I know you said the putter is the most used equipment in the bag. I 100% agree on the hardware, But there's one other piece of equipment that is used not just on the putting green, but every single shot, the golf ball.
Yeah.
How would you rate a more expensive ball, let's say a Titleist Pro V1 or a DT True Soft? How much of an impact is that going to make on a beginner golfer?
None.
Okay.
Simply because they first have to learn to play the game.
Yeah.
So when they start to get some consistency at will, they'll feel the difference, particularly in the short game, because is where the difference is.
Yeah.
With the feel, with the ball, you have much more control. But you've got to be some way competent in playing the game. I mean, if you're hitting blades and hitting it fat and no two shots are the same, you're going to have no appreciation of a good golf ball.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely. Obviously, you see massive differences when the player is of a higher caliber.
Oh, yeah.
But I would still recommend they don't go out there with a range ball because, you've got a one-piece rubbish ball compared to something that's made for the course. It's going to help you around the greens, and you're going to get a little bit more distance around it. So I wouldn't start with something that's, absolute rubbish and completely broken down and used quite often.
I mean, you can get golf balls which are good quality and they don't cost a lot now.
Yeah,
I mean, range balls you're not allowed to use on the golf course, by the way, any beginners.
Fair enough.
Who talk. Plus, a lot of golf range balls are designed to not go far.
Yeah.
I'll repeat that, to not go far. Why? Because a lot of times there's golf ranges that are not very long, so they use low compression golf balls. Golf balls are compressed like a football, even though you wouldn't think so if you got hit in the head with one. They have compression. So that means basically with the shorter clubs, you're going to see a difference in distance, but as you get down to the longer clubs, you won't see the same distance. It's a bit like kicking a football that hasn't been pumped up properly. So with the short pass, it's okay, but when you start to hit a long pass, you can see the distance is going. So that's sometimes by design. So yeah, but there's so many golf balls now. I mean, don't cost that much, and you can use them.
Yeah, no, definitely. The game is as expensive as it is. They try and make it affordable for beginners, which is great because then you're not overwhelmed with everything. And I know there's a lot more expensive sports out there. I took up cycling, and let me tell you, that's by far the most expensive.
Exactly. You see, we have the impression that golf's expensive. It can be if you go and spend a lot of money on equipment, but learn to play the game before you start investing in it.
100%.
It doesn't have to be, and it is more accessible now because we've got a lot of places. There's simulators. There's Top Golfs. There's loads of access which wasn't here before. So it's widening the base.
Yeah.
So the average, because if you have 1,000 people who start to play a game of golf, you might get 10 or 20 who will actually continue doing it. So we must increase the baseline to grow the game.
100%. Going on to a different piece of equipment, the glove.
Yeah.
What do you make of golf gloves?
Okay, the golf glove was started out with in the old. I think Arnold Palmer was the man who started with the golf gloves. I may be wrong. Somebody correct me on that. But I remember because the golf grip was leather. Okay, it was a wrap, so they used to get shiny. So the golf glove became very useful, and then it became fundamental to the game. But then the grips changed from the leather wrap to the standard compound or rubber-based grips now, which have a fantastic grip. So the golf glove has become, I think it's more psychological, to be honest with you. I mean, if I didn't, there were a couple of guys who don't use gloves on the tour. Yeah. Think of Fred Couples as one. It's not fundamental, but it's been the backbone of the game for so long that people psychologically think if I don't have a glove, I can't play. It's certainly not to protect your hands, that's for sure. It's just what I like about the golf glove is because when you're playing the golf, the left hand position and the left arm are very important in the game. It gives you a good feeling that it's the lead arm and the right hand is the trail arm, which I like. But if I hadn't got a golf club, I don't think it'd make much difference. It's more a habit than anything else.
Well, yeah, look, I'm a bit controversial with that one as well because I played, obviously, a glove that was a little bit worn down with a terrible grip.
Yeah.
I've just put this new Voodoo Golf grip on my club, and
Yeah.
it's made all the difference, even with a little worn down glove. But I couldn't swing because the club was the driver,
Yeah.
and I had to put it away. I took one shot with it, slipped out of the hand, or the club face slipped completely because there was absolutely no grip. So I think the glove is there purely for grip
Yeah.
and grip alone.
So it's important. If you've got a new grip, you don't really need a glove. But a lot of people don't know to change a grip on a golf club,
Yeah.
which is amazingly important.
Yeah, no, I would say it's crucial.
It's
As
crucial
soon as
because you got
that-
tension in your golf swing. If you start holding the club tight, you can't play.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I think that's one of the most important parts. Is if you've got a worn down grip, you're not going to swing it well at all. Okay, going on to golf attire.
Yeah.
So obviously, all these things add up. You've got golf clubs, you've got the balls, you've got the grips, you've got the gloves. Golf attire. I mean,
Right.
and we know that you can wear almost anything that's a polo shirt. Any sort of khaki or any kind of pants. When you're talking about shoes, how important is it that you have a shoe that's stable in the golf swing?
Well, the shoes years ago used to have spikes, okay? Because especially in wet conditions, we're not always playing in hot climates.
Yeah.
If you slipped, if you didn't have grip, you've no balance, you can't play the game. So yeah, the shoes are important. Sometimes trainers work out here because it's so dry. But generally speaking, like if there's a bit of moisture, you need golf shoes. But the golf shoes look like trainers now anyway. They're not like the old style ones, which look like a classic street shoe. They've changed a lot. So yeah, but that's not going to cost you the earth. As far as the golf attire, now that has changed. I mean, I remember when I was working in Ireland, I mean, they even sold in our shop, because it was very old style, the +4s and +2s. They went down to here with the long socks.
Yeah.
Attire, and there was
The tie.
the whole thing.
Okay.
That wasn't a showpiece. That was and we sold a lot of those. It was very classic. It looked fantastic, a bit like Payne Stewart. He was the one who used to wear, and Roger Davis. That's going back.
For me, it always looked unbelievably uncomfortable to swing in. Like you're restricted.
No, but they didn't have a jacket on. But I mean, the +4s looked amazing. It was just so classy. They were very practical as well, in a sense, because when it was muddy conditions and that, you didn't get your trousers all messed up because the socks were up to here, up the knee. There was +4s and +2s. 2s went to the knees, 4s are a bit longer. And that's something people wouldn't know much about nowadays.
Yeah.
But now it's gone full circle the other way. And also, I remember the time where you weren't allowed into a clubhouse without a jacket and tie on. You talk about that. That's old school.
Yeah.
Now they're wearing hoodies.
Are there any courses like that still in Ireland? Or?
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like, hold the old
tradition,
there are very traditional clubs.
Yeah.
But they've had to change slightly with the times.
100%. 100%. Okay. What would you say is the most essential piece of equipment that every golfer should have in their bag, whether it's a beginner or a guy playing for 20 years who's a scratch or +2 handicap?
The essential part.
Most essential piece of gear. It's quite a tricky one.
Well, I just go back to the essential parts. 3 clubs is all you need in the game of golf, to be honest. That's an essential part. A golf club, a ball, a tee. That's me. That's all I started with. It wasn't rocket science.
Yeah.
You know?
I'll say something and you tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Because I see it doesn't get used often enough out here in Dubai.
Right.
A divot tool.
But you see, now we're going into a different category.
Yeah.
A divot tool. Well, yes, that is correct, a divot tool. As in pitchfork, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the problem is people who are hitting golf shots, they hit it on the green, it bounces with a hard ball over the green, and the ball finishes maybe miles away from where it landed. So 1, they don't even know. 2, nobody teaches them.
Yeah.
And 3, a lot of people, because I'm paying 1,000 dirhams for a round of golf, I'm not a greenkeeper.
Yeah.
So there's your concepts there. When I was growing up, and the part of our golf academy was to go out with the greenkeeper and fill in the divots on the golf course. There'd be 50, and we loved it. And then we get free lunch, and we go out, and he'd do it the whole golf course in the morning because there was like 40 of us, and we get a bucket of sand, and then we appreciated why you had to do this.
Yeah,
So that was a good thing, as opposed to now. Now you're getting your canisters of sand and seed, and people don't even use them.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
too much bother, you know.
Look, and
But
it frustrates me because back home, there's always etiquette back in South Africa where you always see people fixing their divot marks.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what. It was just something ingrained to us in South Africa here as well. Obviously, here we get a lot of tourists come through and everything, but you see the state of the greens, how much money and care they put into the greens. I mean, all of them are almost spectacular all of the time.
Yeah.
We played JG and they were running spectacularly, but I still saw many divot marks, from balls, and I just get frustrated when I see someone hasn't fixed it. So I think,
because your avid golfer will fix it, the one who's been playing for a while, but the average guy, nothing to do. They're not even educated in it, and it's just a process of education. And it's like picking up litter on the street.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, I know, and it's frustrating because I mean, at most golf courses, they give you a divot tool at the beginning of your round as well. So, look, it's an underrated piece of equipment, but please.
Yeah, we used to.
divot marks.
The thing was, find one, fix two. And that would, it saves the greenkeeper a lot of work.
Yeah. Also keeps the green in great state as well. Makes the ball rolling pure.
Exactly. But
the last thing you want is that ball tracking toward the hole. As it falls in, hits a divot mark.
It's a bump,
that's
Part of the
happened too
game.
many times.
Part of the game.
Okay, Martin, thanks again for joining us today.
Pleasure.
To our audience, if you've got any comments or questions, please put it in the comments below and give us a like if you enjoyed the content.